let's see what ChatGPT recommends as the best drag and drop form builder. Looks like it's JotForm. Hi, I'm Kevin, and in this video, we'll walk through everything you need to know to start creating smart, automated forms fast using JotForm. I partnered with them to show you how to build powerful forms just by dragging, dropping, and describing what you want. No technical skills required. And don't be fooled by the word form. JotForm can do so much more. In fact, it can run an entire business. And the best part, you can access all the core features completely for free. Let's dive in. First, head to the following website. You'll find a link right here at the bottom of the screen. Set up a free account if you don't already have one. Once you're in, you'll land in what's called My Workspace. Well, not my workspace, but your workspace. It just happens to be called My Workspace. To create your first form, in the top left-hand corner, let's click on the Create button. And here you'll see all the different types of items that you can create using JotForm. It is incredibly feature-rich. Right up here, you can make a form, and in a moment, we're going to build this. Next to that, you can set up what's called an AI agent. And if you're curious to learn more about what these are and how you could use them, check out the video link down below in the description. You also have workflows, apps, and you also have a whole lot more. I wasn't kidding when I said you can run much of your business on JotForm. But in this video, we're focusing on forms. So right here in the left-hand corner, let's click on Form. On this page, we can select how we want to start creating our form. Right here, we can start from scratch, and in a moment, we'll do this. Next to that, you can also use a template, and JotForm has a massive collection of different templates. In fact, there are over 10,000 different pre-made forms. Chances are, if you'd like to create a form, JotForm has a template for it. Right next to that, you could take a PDF form and you could turn it into an online form. You could collect signatures, and down below, you could even import forms. Let's have a quick look at some of the templates that are available. I'll click here. On this page, we can see some of the most popular templates that JotForm offers. Right up here, we have a new customer registration form. Here we have a product order form, a course registration form, and if I go down, you'll see all sorts of different examples. Lots of very beautiful looking templates. Over on the left-hand side, we also have different categories of templates. You'll see a wide variety of different options. Now, let's say, for example, you're pulling together a registration form. I'll click on this, and here we see subcategories. So let's say you're pulling together a guest registration form. I'll click on that, and here we see some examples. Now over here, I could preview any one of these templates, and keep in mind that you can make this template your own by customizing everything that appears here. Now, I have something very specific in mind for a form that I would like to build for the Kevin Cookie Company and an upcoming conference that we're hosting. So in the top left-hand corner, I'll click on Back. Back on this page, let's click on Start from Scratch. We have two different options to choose from. We can start with what's called a classic form or a card form. So what's the difference, and why would you choose one versus the other? The classic form works great on desktop and also where you have more questions or the form will be longer. Then we also have the card form, and this one tends to be better on mobile, where you want to show one question at a time. For my cookie conference that's coming up, we're going to ask a number of different questions, so I think a classic form probably works better for that, so I'll choose this. This drops us into the form builder, and I'm pulling together a registration form for the event of the year, CookieCon. Let's start with the essentials. Right up on top, we can add our logo. Let's click on this, and this opens up a pane on the right-hand side. I can upload a logo, drag and drop it in, or over here, I'll click on My Images, and I already have an uploaded image of my logo. I'll click on this, and let's use the selected. And there it is. The logo is right up on top, the proud cookie that started it all. Majestic, crumbly, and also inspiring. Next up, let's set the form name. Right down here, I'll click on Form, and let's enter in the obvious choice, CookieCon, short and also snappy. Right down below, let's type in a subheader so people know what this event's about. Welcome to CookieCon 2025, where cookie dreams come true. Is that too cheesy? Maybe, but I think it'll work. You know what's dangerously fun? You're probably thinking eating raw cookie dough, but it's actually dragging and dropping different form elements. Seriously, you just click, drag, and drop, and a question appears like magic on this form. To do that, over on the left-hand side, let's click on Add Element. This opens up a pane of all of the different elements that you can add to your form. And This is an exhaustive list with lots of different options. Right up on top, you can add some of the basic items like ask for someone's name, their email address, their phone. You could even insert a date picker. If we scroll down just a little bit more, here you could add text. You could add a drop down, multiple choice. You can have people upload files. If we go down even more, we have some survey elements like an input table. Here's even a scale rating. I want to just start with the basics on my form. So right up on top, let's start by adding a section where I can ask some information about the attendee. And let's start by adding a heading. Now look at this. This is really fun. I could simply press and hold on heading, and I could drag it over into my form and then release. And there I now have my heading. Let's type in some text for this. Just attendee information. Now, of course, I need to collect some attendee information. And over on the left-hand side, I probably want their name. So I'll press and hold on this and drag it over. And now I can position it. I can place it above, but that doesn't make sense. So right here, I'll place it right underneath attendee information and release. And there's my first question. Over here, I also want their email address. I'll press and hold, drag it over, and let's place that underneath the name. That looks good. Along with pressing and holding to bring it over, you can also simply click on the item. I also want their address. I'll click on that, and there an address section appears. Probably makes sense to also collect their phone number. I'll click on that, and that adds it to my form as well. Now that we've added a few different elements to this form, let's look at how we can modify some of the element properties. If I scroll up the form here, I have the question where I ask for the attendee's name. And when I click on it over on the right-hand side, you'll see this pane with all of the properties. If you don't have this pane, I can click on this icon to toggle it off. And here I can click on it again to show me all the different properties. Now, right up on top, you could adjust things like the field label name. And currently it's set to name, and I think that works fine. You could also adjust things like the label alignment. Currently it's set to top, but here I can set it to the right, or we could set it to the left. I kind of like having it on top. I'll leave that. Now, of course, I need the attendee to submit their name, so I should make this a required field. I'll press the toggle, and now you'll see that there's an asterisk here indicating that this is required. Down below, I have a few other settings. Let's click into options. Here, we have a few different options. For example, do we want someone to submit a middle name? I could turn that on, or here, we could toggle that off. Let's now click into advanced. Here, we have a few different advanced options. Now, right up on top, you have the option for inserting placeholder text. And I think this is the opportunity to have some fun. So why don't we insert some placeholder text? Maybe for the first name, I'll insert cookie, and for the last name, we'll insert monster. And that way, it appears as part of this form, and when someone types in their actual first name and last name, it'll override this setting. Now, I'm good adjusting these properties, so right up on top, I'll close out of this pane. You can adjust the properties for any of the different elements on your form. For example, I'll click on email, and right over here, I can click on properties, and here I have properties specific to email. And you'll notice that some of these properties are different than what we saw for the name field. These properties are specific to the type of element. Right up on top, let's close out of this. Let's now add another section to this form. I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'll select the phone number since that was the last question I added. Then over on the left-hand side in the form elements, let's go all the way to the bottom of this list, and I'd like to insert a divider. So again, I could drag and drop, or I could simply click on this. I'll click on divider, and that adds a nice divider on my form. Now, if I go all the way to the top, let's now add another heading. I'll click on this, and that inserts my heading under the divider. And for the heading, let's call this conference details. For the conference details, first off, I'd like to know whether someone's planning to attend in person or virtually, and they have to choose one or the other. They can't choose both. So over on the left-hand side in all of the different elements, I think the single choice button will work well. I'll click on this, and that adds it to my form. Right here, I'll type in my question. And right over here, I can now add the options, in person and virtually. I don't have a need for option 3 or 4. So right over here, I'll hover over these options and let's click on the X again, and that removes those options. Next, I'd also like to know what day an attendee plans on attending. Day 1, day 2, or maybe even both days. Over on the left-hand side, let's look for an appropriate element type. And here we have a multiple choice option or checkboxes. I'll click on this and that adds the next question. Right up on top, I'll type in the question, what days will you attend? Then I could also type in my options, day 1, day 2, and over here, I'll remove option number 3 and option number 4. That looks good. Now we're adding one of the most important questions. Which sessions are you most interested in? And yes, it's multi-select because we know our attendees have big cookie dreams. Over on the left-hand side, let's see if we could find an element that'll work for this. Now, of course, we could insert another multiple choice question, but I think for this one, maybe a drop-down would work well. Here, I'll press and hold on this, and let's drag this over onto our form. First up, let's type in the question. Right up on here, I'll type it in. Then we can edit all of the different options. Let's see what we've got. Now click on this, and let's enter in option 1, the future of cookies and AI. Then baking at scale, cookie packaging and branding, and lastly, we have behind the scenes at the Kevin Cookie Company. If you're wondering, it's kind of like The Office, but with more dough and fewer Dwights. Right down below, let's click on Save Changes. Currently, it's not set to multi-select, and we need to change that. Like we did earlier, over on the right-hand side, let's go to this gear icon to open up the properties. On the top bar, let's go up to Advanced, and let's make it so the 4 different options are visible. That way you can see all of the different sessions. Then, right up on top, we can set it so attendees can select multiple options. Honestly, I would like to select all of these. I think I'd prefer to ask this question earlier on the form. So right up on top, let's close this Properties pane. And then right over here to move a question around your form, you could simply click on this drag handle. I'll press and hold on this, and now I could adjust the position. Why don't we move it right to the top of conference details? That's a nice placement. I'd like to add one final question down at the bottom. I want to know whether someone wants to participate in our cookie tasting challenge. For this one, let's add a single choice question. And here, I'll type it in, and there are 2 options. Although really there should just be one, because I don't know why anyone would choose no. Right down below, I'll remove option 3 and option number 4. Now, if someone selects yes to this question, I need to follow up and ask them whether they have any dietary restrictions. The last thing we'd want to do is get someone sick. So over on the left-hand side, let's add one more short text question. And down below, let's ask that question. Now, as it is right now, this question will always appear on this form, but if someone selects no, then it doesn't make sense to show this. So I want to only show this if someone is interested in participating in the cookie tasting challenge. So how do we set that up? We need to set up what's called a condition. To do that, up on top, let's click into Settings. Over on the left-hand side, let's click into Conditions. Under Conditions, we can do all sorts of different smart things. As an example, we can show and hide fields based on a response. Down below, you could skip or jump to a certain page. You can even customize the thank you page based on how someone responds to your form. You have all sorts of different options. Now, let's click on Show Hide Field. If someone says yes to the cookie tasting challenge, then I want to show the field about the dietary restrictions. So let's walk through this to see if we can set that up. Here it says if, and I can see all the different questions on my form. And here I have that question about participating in the cookie tasting challenge. I'll click on that. Now here I could select the state. So I'd like to say if it's equal to yes. So if they want to participate, then we have to take some type of action. Then I want to show the next question. So I'll select show, and here I could select the field. Let's go all the way to the bottom, and there I see that question about the dietary restrictions. I'll select this. And now that I've configured all of this logic, let's click on Save. I believe I set it up properly, but it's always a good practice to test out your form just to make sure that it works the way you expect it to. In the top right-hand corner, we can preview the form. I'll toggle this on, and here I can see what my form looks like. Now, let's scroll all the way down to the bottom where we have that question about the cookie tasting challenge. And there I see the yes or no question. You'll notice the dietary restrictions question doesn't show up yet. Now, if I select no, I will never see another question, and I would never even know about that question. However, I'm expecting that most people will probably select yes. And if you press yes, look at that. The question automatically appears. It's working exactly how I expect it to. Right up on top, let's exit the preview. Now that we've added some conditional logic, let's go back to the form builder. Up on top, let's click on Build. For most of this video, we've just been adding the different basic form elements, but we also have 2 additional categories. We have payments and also widgets. I'll click on payments, and with this, you can add payment options to your form. Now, this is perfect if, let's say, you're charging for event tickets, maybe merchandise or workshops. JotForm supports a wide variety of different payment processors. You have different providers like Stripe, PayPal, Square, and many more, as you can see on this list. You can choose what works the best for your business. And it doesn't stop there. You can also add what's called widgets to enhance your form. Let's click on that. Within widgets, there are so many different options, and you can use these to make your form more interactive and also engaging. Here is an example. You could allow someone who's filling out your form to take a photo. Here, you can embed a PDF. If we scroll down a little bit more, you could even embed a YouTube video. And this list goes on and on. There are so many different options here. It's worth looking through to see if some of these might help with your form. Right up on top, let's now close out of the form elements by clicking on the X. I'm not really loving the current theme for a cookie conference. It doesn't quite fit the vibe. Let's see if we can change that up. Over on the right-hand side, let's click on the form designer. Within the designer, right up on top, we can change the color scheme. So the page color, the form color, and even the font colors. And you can even specify exact values. Let's try this brown. Ooh, I like that. That's giving off some good cookie energy. Right up on top, we could also change the styles. Here you have the width, the question spacing. Here you could even adjust the way the buttons look on the page. Here we have various themes that you could choose from. Lots of different options. And right up on top, you can also adjust the layout. Now, at the very beginning, we chose a classic form, but if you change your mind, you could always change it over to the card form. Now, down at the very bottom, we also have an advanced designer. And this is where you can fine-tune the CSS to match your company's exact look and feel. Now, I don't have the need to do this, so I'm going to exit out of this view. Right over here, let's click on Save Changes. Then, at the very top, let's click on Back to Builder. I think this form is really coming together nicely. Of course, when someone fills out this form, I want to make sure that I'm notified and also the person who fills out the form is notified. Up on top, let's click into Settings. On the left-hand side, let's click into Emails. When someone submits the form, I'll receive an email right up here, and the attendee will also get an email confirmation. Let's take a quick preview at what's included in the email that I'll receive. Let's click on this icon. Here, I can preview what the email message will look like. Right up on top, I see the email subject, and I could customize this. Down below, I also see the email content, and this will include the different values that the attendee fills out on the form. I can completely customize this to my needs. In fact, if I want to include one of the attendees' responses in this email, up on top, I can insert a form field. And here I see all the different questions from the form. So again, I could customize this to my needs. Up on top, I could also add additional recipients to this email. And over here, you also have some additional advanced settings. Let's go back. Now let's jump into the autoresponder email that goes to the attendee. I'll click on the edit icon. Here too, we could also adjust the email that the attendee receives after they submit their form. Up on top, we could adjust the recipients. And over here, we also have advanced options. Every time someone signs up for the conference, I would also like to send along some know before you go information. And over here, I can attach a file to this email message. Right over here, I'll select a PDF file from my computer, and then I'll upload it. That makes my life a lot easier. Now I don't have to separately email this to all of the different attendees. Now, if we go all the way to the bottom of the form, let's click on Save. And my email notification has now been updated. Once someone submits the form, they'll land on a thank you page. And yes, here too, we can fully customize it. Over on the left-hand side, let's click on the thank you page. With the thank you page, you could customize exactly what you would like this page to look like, or alternatively, you could also redirect to an external link after submission. Now, right now we show this green check mark, but I don't know if that's very fitting for a cookie company. So over here, I'll click on this image and I see a gallery of a lot of check marks, but let's see if we could use something else. Up above, I'll click on my images, and here we have a picture of the Kevin Cookie Company bear with the cookie. I'll select this, click on save, and that inserts it onto the thank you page. I think this now works quite a bit better. You can also customize all of the text, links, and other settings here as well. Over on the left-hand side, we also have some additional advanced settings, starting with integrations. Let's click on this. Here, you can connect your form to all sorts of different third-party providers, and it's a very extensive list. Let's take an example. Let's say that every time someone signs up for CookieCon, I'd like to add them to a Google Sheet. I could do that very easily. Or maybe I'd like to add them to our email list that we manage with MailChimp. I could set that up. Over on the left-hand side, let's click into Workflows. With Workflows, you can set up approval flows or multi-step reviews. Now, we don't need that for our registration form, so I'll skip it for now, but it is a very powerful feature, and it's good to know about it. Over on the left-hand side, let's also click into JotForm Sign. This allows you to add signature fields for things like, let's say, a waiver or maybe a confirmation. A waiver might be a good idea for our cookie tasting competition. Again, not needed on our form, so I'll leave it out, but here too, it's good to know that this option exists. Before going live, it's always a good idea to preview the form and just ensure that it works properly on all different types of devices. In the top right-hand corner, let's toggle on the preview. We can preview what the form looks like on a desktop. Here, we could also preview it on a tablet as well as a phone. And overall, I think this looks really good. And I think I'm just about ready to publish. Right up on top, let's turn off the preview. And over here, let's click on Publish. There is no shortage of ways to publish your form. Over here, you could copy a link. You can invite people by email. Down below, you could even distribute directly to various platforms. Over on the left-hand side, you can even embed your form directly onto your website. And here, you see lots of different options. Let's now test out the form to see how it works. Look at this, what a beautiful form. Here, I'll fill in the attendee information. Let me put in my name, my email, and my address. I'll leave some of these just blank for now, and I'll select one of my favorite sessions, and let's try submitting the form. And look at that, we get our thank you page with the customized bear. That looks beautiful. Once someone submits your form, right up on top, you could click on this dropdown and we could jump into what's called tables. And that'll allow us to see all the individual responses. Here I see that we've already received 2 different responses to our form. Now, right up on top, we could even download all the different responses. Right up on top, let's click on this dropdown again. And we also have something called Form Analytics. And when I click on this, this will give a high-level summary of all the different responses that we've received on this form. And that's how you build a smart form using JotForm in just a few minutes. Do you want to go deeper into JotForm? Let me know what other topics you'd like to see on the channel down below in the comments. To watch more videos like this one, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.